AITAH for wanting to divorce my husband after he gambled away all our savings and put our home at risk? I'm honestly struggling with what to do here. My husband, 34M, and I, 32F, have been together for nearly a decade. We met in college, started out as best friends, and then, somewhere in the middle of all that friendship, I fell for him, hard. He was my everything. Over the years, he was my confidant, my partner in crime, and my rock. We made plans together, built a life together. We've got a son, who's my entire world, and he's only 5. We live in a beautiful house that my parents gifted to us as a wedding present. They wanted us to have a stable start, something secure, something to build our dreams upon. For most of our relationship, I thought we were solid. I honestly believed we'd be that couple who would make it through anything. Sure, we had our ups and downs like any couple, but I trusted him with my life. And maybe that's why this is hitting me so hard now. I never, in my wildest dreams, thought I'd be here, considering divorce. The change started subtly, but I brushed it off at first. A few months ago, he began staying up all night on his phone, whispering and laughing to himself, and I assumed he was just stressed. He'd disappear for hours during the weekends, or he'd come home late on weekdays, and if I asked, he'd snap and say it was work stuff or a guy thing that I wouldn't understand. He'd get defensive, irritated. I'm ashamed to say that I didn't push harder because I trusted him. I figured maybe it was a phase, that he needed space, so I gave him that space. Then, about 6 weeks ago, I got a call from a loan company about a missed payment. They said they needed to speak to him about it, but here's the kicker, I had absolutely no clue about this loan. He'd taken it out in secret. I went cold. My gut told me something was very wrong, so that night, I confronted him. I sat him down, and I asked him, point blank, "Are you hiding something from me?" His face dropped. He tried to laugh it off at first, then he got angry, defensive, but eventually, he admitted it. He'd been gambling. Not just once, not just a few $100, but thousands. He'd drained our entire savings account. Money that we'd put aside for emergencies, for our son's future, for our family. Money we'd worked so hard to save over the years. He'd gambled it all away. I remember sitting there, just staring at him, numb. I kept thinking, is this real? How could he do this? Our lives flashed before my eyes, our dreams, our plans, our son's future. And then he hit me with the worst of it. Not only had he emptied our savings, but he'd taken out loans to keep gambling. It was a vicious cycle, and he couldn't stop. It wasn't a one-time thing, as he tried to tell me at first. He was in deep. I felt devastated, betrayed, like everything I knew about him was a lie. But what shattered me completely was realizing that our home, the one my parents had given us so we'd always have a stable roof over our heads, was at risk. Because of him, we could lose our house. A house that wasn't just a building to me, but a promise from my parents, a safe place for our son. I couldn't wrap my head around it. The betrayal felt so personal, so deep. This wasn't just money, this was our future, our security. And he'd gambled it away. When I confronted him, he had the nerve to tell me it was just a one-off thing, and that he could quit anytime he wanted. He promised me he'd stop. But the thing is, he didn't stop. I kept finding evidence, casino apps on his phone, receipts for cash withdrawals I knew nothing about, cryptic messages from gambling sites. It was like he was living a double life, and the man I thought I knew was nowhere to be found. I tried everything I could think of to help him. I suggested therapy, or even just a support group, anything that could give him some accountability. I begged him to talk to someone, anyone, to help him see what he was doing to us. But he just shut me down, time and time again, saying he didn't need professional help and that he could handle it on his own. He looked me in the eyes and told me he could quit anytime he wanted. But the lies kept coming, and he kept gambling. The worst part is that this has impacted every corner of our lives. He's become a shell of the man he used to be. He's disconnected from me, from our son, from everything that used to matter to him. He barely spends any time with our son now, and when he does, he's irritable, distant, or glued to his phone. Our son is starting to notice that his dad isn't around as much, and when he is, he's not really there. It breaks my heart. I feel like a single parent, carrying the emotional and physical load of raising our son alone, while he spirals further into his addiction. And now, here I am, facing a decision I never thought I'd be making. Part of me feels guilty for even thinking about divorce. After all, he's my husband, the man I pledged my life to, and I want to be there for him. I want to help him, but how can I support someone who refuses any help, who continues to gamble away our life and stability? How can I stay in a marriage that's putting our son's future at risk? Every night, I lie awake, wondering if I'm doing the right thing. I don't want our son growing up in this toxic, unstable environment. I want him to have a secure home, a peaceful life, not this constant fear of losing everything because his father can't stop gambling. I don't want him to see his mother struggling to keep it all together, while his father gambles away what little we have left. So, AITAH for wanting out? For wanting a life where my son and I don't have to live in constant worry and fear? I don't want to give up on my husband, but I don't know what else to do.